The title of my workshop is Sharing, Not Tearing, Regain Balance and Thrive. This is a version of the first module of the longer 6 module course I will be teaching in the near future. The name of the first module, the name of this workshop is Uneven Development, Compost, Not Failure, and I'll explain that soon. First, as an opening experience, I would like to do an icebreaker. And I would like to do the one word check-in where each of you shares one word that describes how you're arriving today. How do you feel today? How are you arriving here today? So if you could put in the chat um, this one word that describes you and why. We can also talk about it. I can call on you. Um, This, as it says here, as I say here, it gives everyone a voice and it creates group energy. That's what I'm hoping for. And I want you to ponder about the words that you've chosen. So put both the one word and also the explanation, and then I'll try to call on you. I know I can talk about myself first, if anyone's hesitating. For me, I can say that I arrived feeling excited and satisfied. Oh, that's 2 words. I'll just go with excited because I've been thinking about these ideas for a while, and especially over the August vacation when I was in the Alps with my romantic partner. And it's exciting to finally get to share these ideas with others. Can someone else join in? I'm presenting sharing, not tearing as the core value for the community we're building here. This is a safe space of mutual respect and growth. That's what we're all working towards, I hope. And I hope you brought that idea with you. Of course, just to quickly say, sharing, not tearing. Sharing is the idea of community, and not tearing is separation. So we're working towards community, not just in the ideas I'm going to share here, but in your being here yourselves. The suggested agreements, and we can agree upon the agreements. Confidentiality, what's shared here stays here. This is especially important because when I'm done going through the slides, I think there'll be time for any of you to share your experience with transition. And I would like that to be confidential. I'm sure you would too. Non-judgmental, listen without fixing or comparing. That's a big bite to swallow there because there are a lot of fixers out there and people tend to want to compare. So in one sentence there, we have quite a lot to avoid. Share, don't dominate, give space for all voices. Now I know some of you will want to share as much as possible, but keep in mind there are other people here who would also like to share. If an irritation arises, acknowledge the irritation yourself, with yourself, and recenter if at all possible, since we're with a group and it's a public talk. I would like to uh, encourage your input. What else do you think we need to feel safe and engaged here? Now, I said the Module 1 title was Uneven Development, Compost, Not Failure. You might have heard, may or may not have heard of uneven development, but as it sounds, it's imbalance, uh, usually related to emotional with something else. Um, and then compost, not failure. And that's the idea that the imbalance is not a bad thing. It's not a failure. Rather, it's something we take to build for towards growth, just like compost. So outside psychology, people rarely say uneven development. Instead, they usually refer to something like imbalance. Um, Something else they say in psychology is asynchronous development. But in general, here are some ways that uneven development is spoken about. My career's thriving, but my relationships are a mess. I'm successful on paper, but not happy. Parts of my life are strong, other parts are falling apart. I feel out of balance. I've got my career sorted, but my relationships are a mess. I look successful on paper, but I don't feel happy. Parts of my life are thriving and other parts are falling apart. I'm strong in one area, struggling in another. I'm out of balance. As I said, researchers often describe uneven development as asynchronous development, or another one I didn't mention was differential development. These are different areas of life. They refer to different areas of life, cognitive, emotional, social, or physical, and that they don't develop at the same pace. I want to refer to some research. Um, Children that are gifted can be intellectually advanced but emotionally younger than their peers. In emotional intelligence research, which I'll be using also more in the 6 module course I'm doing in the future, shows that many developments excel in professional skills but struggle with self-regulation or empathy. Finally, in narrative identity theory, life stories often contain imbalances, chapters of achievement alongside chapters of vulnerability. We can call this uneven development a success problem. And it's the idea that uneven development is across life areas. Like I said in the title, it's not failure, but compost. These imbalances are exactly where growth can be transformed into new strength. The key concept, unevenness is compost. Unevenness is not weakness. It is raw material for growth. And I want to bring transitions in here. Transitions magnify. Here's the connection with transitions. Transitions magnify unevenness and make them visible, make uneven development visible. So has anyone felt that they've had a transition like career or relationship or illness or empty nesters, um, where through the transition, their imbalances or an uneven development became more visible? Because I know it happened to me. When I went through my divorce, all of a sudden my imbalance between my academic studies and achievements, and my emotional development became very obvious. And I spent, this was 25 years ago, and I spent the last 25 years um, evening, even out, making it even out um, the imbalance, finding balance, I should say. That would be a lot easier. I mentioned some already, but some examples of uneven development: strong career, but fragile relationships. That's very common that people put all their priority into their career and sacrifice their relationships, their personal life. Financial stability, but emotional imbalance. Um, this is, I think, a really interesting area, and it's understandable. A lot of people feel a scarcity with finances. So they, in reaction, they have an uneven development with emotion. And then expat success and work, but loneliness at home. It's a big theme with expats have loneliness, and for a big reason. You leave your country and you leave your friends and family behind and your colleagues, and you're searching for a community in your new home. And sometimes that can take a while. And sometimes the first community you have is work. You might put all your marbles into the work and not have a larger community separate from work. The key takeaway: uneven development is normal. Thriving is not about eliminating imbalance, but about tending your soil so all areas can be nourished. Did you think uneven development was normal? Your imbalances, did you look at them as normal? And can you now see thriving as not eliminating imbalances, but tending your soil so all areas can be nourished? I'd like you to consider this method, the soil method, and I like to say feed the soil. This is something I've created myself. And with the S meaning spot uneven areas of your life, the O meaning observe your uneven areas without judgment. After you observe without judgment, I integrate lessons into your balance. And then L, live as if unevenness is compost for growth. So this is just a handy way to remember the process and the method of moving from compost, uneven development, to compost and feeding your fuel, feeding your soil. So now I'd like you to do a journal exercise. This is a superpower and struggle mapping. Put in the chat box one area where you thrive. This is your superpower. And right after it, oh, here, for example, um, something, a superpower you've developed since moving abroad. For instance, navigating the train system without crying, learning to cook with strange groceries, making friends fast. These are all things that I've tried to do as an expat myself. And then right next to the ones where your superpower, put where you have struggled. And we call this the dry soil rather than the nourishing soil, the dry soil. And then this, for instance, might be language, things that you're still working on, loneliness, confidence, and career. So first put next to each other one area where you thrive, your superpower, and then one area where you struggle. Make sure it's clear which is which. Put this in the chat, please. Okay, I'm going to read them aloud at random, and then you're going to say whether it's a superpower or a struggle. Now I want to do a breakout, put you in small groups depending on how many are here. Um, I want you to share one struggle or what I'm calling dry soil area of your life and discuss whether this is a pebble, an apple, or a stone. Now, let me explain what this means. A pebble is a small irritation that you can step over, like in soil, step over it, SOIL, step over it, lifestyle, something else I'm creating. It's a pebble, it's a step over it. Irritation, you step over an irritation, something small, which doesn't bother you. And then the apple is where you observe and you decide whether you're going to bite into the apple mindfully with awareness or whether you're going to step into the apple with guilt and shame for separating, for pursuing autonomy or independence. So the apple is, are you going to bite into the apple mindfully, observing and aware? Um, and then the stone is, it's like a leap. Um, it's like climbing a mountain. And are you going to climb the mountain and use the obstacle as growth? So um, ask yourself whether the struggle is a small irritation, mindful choosing, like the apple, and that comes from Eve, Adam and Eve, and the apple. I will go into that more in the 6 module course. But the pebble is a small irritation. Is your struggle a small irritation? Is it a bigger irritation like the apple, where you have to decide whether you're going to bite into it mindfully or choose not to take that bite? And then the stone is it like a mountain where it's an obstacle that you grow from confronting? So please discuss these 3 things, and then we'll do a hot seat. That means I'll speak to one of you about. The reflection seed of the week. This week, the seed I'm planting is, so I would say one dry soil area of my life is learning a language, learning Dutch. This is one struggle for me. It's more than a pebble. It's not just a small irritation because I moved to the Netherlands. Learning the language is very important. Um, but I decided that for me, it was like uh, not so much like an apple where I observe it and choose it without guilt and shame. It's not that, but rather a mountain for me. For some people, languages are easy. For me, it's not as easy, depending on which language. I think Italian and Spanish are a little easier for me. But so as learn slowly, it is an obstacle that I'm growing from, I would say. Anyone else? This week, the seed I'm planting is, um, I would say, coaching seeds. And I'm seeing how my planting the workshop seed grows into a larger 6 module course. Closing mantra. In the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. Of course, our title of our module is Uneven Development, Compost, Not Failure. So the same idea.